Hello YouTube and welcome back to World of Warships with Wadres, and today we are going over the update 7.12 notes that were just released today and just kind of breezing over a lot of the details that have been put into it relative to the developer notes that were put out last week. And one of the big notes is for this thing right here, the Snowflakes initiative, which I do say is a very, very promising event for this patch. As I mentioned last time, this is going to be a initiative that allows the average player to earn steel, and we do have a bunch more information now. This is going to be for the first win after the patch for all ships in a player's port, and the rewards are going to be listed here as far as the what you can get for ships at the various tiers. And again, this is going to be for the first match on any of the ships within these tiers after the patch goes live, and this is going to be a one-time good thing. It's not going to be something that refreshes as far as we've been informed so far, but it's still going to be rather lucrative, and that's something that I'm going to discuss here in a little bit more time. Moving on, though, we also have the Prince Idle Friedrich, or In the Name of His Highness event, which is coming up, which will allow players to earn the Prince Idle Friedrich for free through completion. So there is that. So definitely looking forward to having a nice new Tier 6 premium battleship. Definitely looking forward to that. And it definitely seems like it'll be interesting. There's also the Belle Epoque collection, which is going to add in some nice little patch elements and a flag, as well as getting a couple of crates. We have the Mighty Prince campaign, which is going to offer some Tier 6 ships with new permanent camouflages free, which is going to be nice in its own right. And the final reward being the camo shown here for the Prince Idle Friedrich herself, which is a rather striking camouflage if I do say so. We also have the Steel Monsters campaign, which is going to be released. And this is a campaign which players will be able to purchase from the premium shop. And, well, it's got some rather decent rewards, primarily in the amount of 4,000 steel that can be earned from this campaign. Now, it does have a time limit. You have 180 days to complete it, so I don't know what the time, how long they're expecting players to spend working on this, but you do have a reasonable chunk of time to work on it. And if you purchase one of the actual packages that contains this, you will get a 180-day extension, so 360 days overall, so definitely not a bad time frame to work on her. We do have the Warships premium account changes, which are coming, which is really just an increase to, I believe it was, experience earnings. We have Ranked Sprint coming again. This time it will be Tier 6 in 5x5 and 7x7 battles. We have the new daily containers or daily shipments. So there's that. You can get some containers through there as well. There are some changes to the service record coming up, or service profile. Just switching over from an experience-based system to a battles-based system, so there's that. We have the changes to the Okinawa map that are coming through, just moving a bunch of the islands on the Okinawa map around. It'll be interesting to see how that affects the map. I'm not sure it's actually going to change too much, but again, we'll see. The US battleships are getting pretty much a blanket improvement to their rudder shift times. They're all decreasing by a reasonable chunk. And the only one that really isn't getting any change in that regard is the Montana. And aside from the Colorado, they are also getting a blanket buff to their repair party, going from a 0.5% to 0.66% HP recovery per second. The Friedrich de Grosse is getting some buffs to its secondary battery HE penetration and main gun reload. Japanese battleships Miyogi, Kongo, and Izumo are getting penetration increases on their main battery guns. And the reload time on the Miyogi is also being reduced by about 2 seconds. As far as other things, there are a bunch of ships, specifically those with 150mm secondary batteries. I'm looking at the Germans primarily here, which are going to be getting a slight increase to the penetration of their HE shells. And the Wichita and Medea are getting slight increases to protection as far as their stern magazines. A couple of the Japanese destroyers are getting a bonus to their steering gear survivability or protection so that they don't get knocked out as easily. Same for their actual propulsion protection. The Arsenal is having some changes. With the conclusion of the Royal Navy event, all guineas that are left on a player's account are being converted for 100,000 credits. So 100,000 credits per guinea. And there are some unique captains that are being put out as well. We also have the USS Charleston, which is being put into the arsenal for 15,000 coal. This is the St. Louis clone, I guess you could say, but just turning her into a Tier 3 premium and naming her the Charleston. And there are also going to be some camouflages available through the arsenal for doubloons as well. Now, we are also seeing the removal of the Kronstadt and the Musashi once the 8.0 update goes in. So anybody who's wanting to get those ships, you've got about another month to get them. So there's a little bit of warning there. We also have some other ships that are being put in for testing. We have a few camouflages that are being adjusted or moved around. The New Year's camouflage that is being put in as your rewards for the Prince Eitel Friedrich missions. For the Prince Eitel Friedrich, Hatsuharu, Nuremberg, Icarus, and Dallas, and Normandy. So that's a rather neat looking camouflage, if I do say so myself. And then, of course, we just get into some of the other notes and changes that personally I haven't noticed too much, aside from the bonus or the dispersion changes. So that's really about it. Just scrolling back up here, though, to the snowflakes details. I have actually gone over all of these numbers by tier, gone through the tech lines, gone through everything, added these numbers up, and gotten some interesting things. Now, first thing I want to mention is that I went through the tech line in my port, which, thanks to Aslane's mod, also lists all of the potential premium ships in-game. And as a result, I have calculated that every player in-game, at most, has the potential to earn 18,919 steel from the various ships and events in this patch. As far as steel ports, that changes the numbers, but even then, the maximum can only go as high as 20,811 steel earned. Now, in that regard, I also have to flash back to a couple of the community contributors who were going off saying, oh my god, everybody's going to be able to get the Stalingrad now. Well, sorry to burst your bubble, folks, but the Stalingrad is still a little bit out of reach. The Stalingrad is a whopping 28,000 steel in the arsenal right now. So, you still have to fight and play to earn steel in ranked and clan battles, even just to get the Stalingrad or the Bourgogne for that matter. So, no, while you may have a bunch of players who do pop up with the Stalingrad now because they did have that last little bit of steel needed, unfortunately, this is not something that is going to be in the hands of every player in the game. So, your Unicums and whatever, they can relax and rest easy knowing that you're not going to have a brand new player who suddenly has the Stalingrad. Congratulations, there's that. Anyway, moving on. Oh, by the way, that also includes the campaigns and the Snowflakes mission, not just the Snowflakes initiative. So that is literally the max steel earnings for everybody as far as this update, not counting anybody who actually participates in clan battles. Anyway, moving on. Coal is another nice bonus from the Snowflakes event, and for all ships that can redeem coal for their first battle, the maximum earnings for coal, without any bonuses, you get 99,850. Now, with a coal port with your clan, the maximum you can earn with a fully upgraded coal port is 109,835. Now, of course, for my own interests, I went over the numbers and I looked to see what my potential earnings are, and my potential earnings for all of my ships that are currently in my port, I've got the potential for 62,542 coal, because we do have the second level of our coal port, and unless we upgrade our steel port at all, I'm looking at the baseline 12,069 steel, which coincidentally is more than enough to land me with just about the one and only steel ship in the arsenal that I actually want, and that is the USS Flint. Personally, I don't want the Stalingrad. I don't care to have the Stalingrad. I've heard so many mixed things about the Stalingrad, between it either being drastically overpowered or really not what people were expecting her to be and not doing well at all, to the point where I'm not even really all that sure I want her at all. I'm certainly not willing to go into ranked or clan battles to get her, because I do very much enjoy the vast majority of the other ships that I have and use. So that's one of the things that I just kind of keep in the back of my head, because I don't care about the ship. I don't want it. Now, I understand that there are some players out there who do, and have the steel fort. If you're building up the steel fort, all power to you. And at least the Unicums and the community contributors who are going absolutely ballistic over the fact that the steel is being put out there for the masses can rest easy knowing that the only players who are actually going to be able to get the Stalingrad or even the Bourgogne at this point, with the event being in the works, with the event being ready to come out, are players who have actually been playing ranked or
Torpedoes to port.
clan
You
battles.
destroyed an enemy cruiser.
This is not something that's going to be earned by just your average Joe Blow who walked in off the street to start playing World of Warships today. No, this is actually something that's going to take a reasonable amount of time for players to actually work through, for starters, because they have to go through every single ship that this bonus actually comes on. And on top of that, they're only going to have the capabilities of earning enough, even that amount of steel, from if they have every single game, or every single ship that is in the game. Otherwise, those rewards are going to be tapering off very, very drastically. Honestly, the only reason I'm even getting enough for the Flint is because I happen to have a very fair collection of high-tier premiums, because I really don't have that many tier 9 or 10 ships otherwise. So yeah, that's just one thing that I really hope they relax about. Yes, steel is going to be available for the vast majority of players, but again, it's not going to be in such quantity that everybody will get the Stalingrad. And again, on top of that, not everybody cares about the Stalingrad. Not everybody wants the Stalingrad. I personally know a couple of players in my clan who would rather just have the black, which is only about 14,000 steel. And again, as I said in my previous video regarding the developers' notes, the only steel ship that I want is the Flint, because I'm curious to see how she performs in a couple of the Tier 7 scenarios. But that's it. As far as anything else goes, I'm not really interested in any of the other steel ships. So, there is that. In regards to everything else in the patch notes, there is definitely interesting content coming. We've got the Prince Idle Friedrich again, which I have not been involved in any of the testing on the ship, but from what I've heard, she has a lot of decent potential. And I am also very intrigued to see Wargaming putting her out for earning from a campaign dedicated to her. I think it's a nice, interesting change, and it actually makes me think of the Duke of York campaign from last year, so I definitely think it's going to
Ship is on fire.
Get a few more players going and just kind of spark a little bit of interest, having a nice, rather unique and interesting Tier 6 premium battleship come into the run that can be earned for free. On top of that, for everything that's going on this month, we do have the HMS Dreadnought, which can be earned through completing 40 of the daily missions. So there's also that to be had, which, I mean, granted she's only a Tier 3, but we're talking the first true modern battleship. Who isn't going to want her? I'm honestly amazed that Wargaming decided to put her out for the potential to earn her free as well, just because I guarantee you, just about every single player, if she were in the premium shop on her own, would be making them mad dive to get her, whether they're interested in her or not, just simply for the sake of having her. Still no news on the Alaska, which, again, is one of the ships that I think just about the entire community is very interested in learning exactly what she's going to cost. We have premium camouflages that are coming for some nice Tier 6 ships that everybody knows and loves. There are the buffs coming in for the US battleships as far as their rudder shifts. We have the also some penetration increases for the Japanese battleships, and just overall some rather good changes all around from what I can tell. So it's going to be interesting to see how things go after this patch goes live. But anyway, I suppose on that note I will let everybody go. I wish you all happy hunting in the game. Take care, please do not forget to like and subscribe, and I will catch you all next time I put a video up. Stay safe out there.